It is the Thursday edition, Mr. Irrelevant, presented by Door County Distillery and Underdog. I'm Alex Strouf with you from the Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all studios at the Avenue in downtown Milwaukee. Josh DiMaggio is with me on this night before Christmas. We are just over 24 hours away from the start of the Green Bay Packers season as they get ready to take on the Philadelphia Eagles in Sao Paulo, Brazil tomorrow. Joshy, no Hunter today, so I think it's going to be the optimism hour as we get ready for Packers-Eagles tomorrow.
As long as you don't start talking about the Chicago Bears, your second favorite team in the NFL,
okay,
I think we're going to have ourselves a good day.
What are you doing? You and I both know I am not a Chicago Bears fan. You and I both know I want nothing more than the Bears to go 0-17. There's a difference between being a Bears fan and saying, hey, they actually might be cooking over there.
They're in the rearview mirror until they're not.
I'm not worried about them against the Packers, but I still think they can win 9 or 10 games.
I'll take the lower.
So hold on. If I tell you the Chicago Bears are going to make the playoffs, you say that won't happen?
I would make the bet against that, yes.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. I'm not willing to make a bet. But
I almost tricked you into one there.
Yeah, you're good at that. You're good at that. Good to be with you on the ESPN Milwaukee YouTube channel live here at 12:30 on your Thursday. You might be watching back 6 o'clock on the ESPN Madison Facebook and YouTube pages. Appreciate you being with us. A reminder, we do this typically Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Mr. Irrelevant, presented by Door County Distillery and Underdog. This week with Labor Day and the Packers opening up shop, we figured, hey, we'll give you 3 days in a row, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So good to be with you. As I just referenced it as the night before Christmas, right? It is that eager feeling I think we all have that Santa's coming tomorrow. The Green Bay Packers get going tomorrow. We are going to see Jordan Love play not 3 snaps, not even 3 quarters, hopefully, full 4 quarters. We're going to see Jeff Hafley's defense in full swing for the first time tomorrow. So I think I'm just a little jittery. And with me acknowledging my self-energy as jittery, I kind of just want to have a stream of consciousness chit-chat today about the Green Bay Packers and the expectations we have in 2024, because with the Ravens and Chiefs playing tonight, a rematch of the AFC Championship game, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, national television, kicking off the NFL season, it doesn't get a ton better than that, right? I mean, you're looking at the MVP from a year ago versus the Super Bowl champs from a year ago to kick off the season. And the very next day, your team is in a national spotlight in a new market in Sao Paulo, Brazil, taking on a team that was in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, a team that was 10-1 a year ago, a team that upgraded both offensively and defensively, the Philadelphia Eagles did this offseason. So there's a ton of excitement built up and anticipation built up for this season opener coming up tomorrow between the Packers and the Eagles. And I imagine when I talk to you tomorrow on our Friday edition of the show, and when we do Green Bay Game Day from 4 to 7:15 ahead of kickoff tomorrow on ESPN Milwaukee, I imagine I'll be a little bit all over the place because I'm jacked, I'm amped, I'm really pumped up about the Packers season starting, but I don't exactly know what to expect come tomorrow night. Because the season opener, more so than any other game in the NFL season, is frankly unpredictable. We've seen the Packers come out like they did a year ago in the season opener and whip up on the team they were playing. Packers did it last year in Jordan Love's first career start, well, second career start, but first start as the true starter of the Green Bay Packers, and he smoked the Bears. And then he comes back the next few weeks and they go 1-5 over the next 6. In past years with Aaron Rodgers, think about the New Orleans game that was played in Jacksonville. Think about the Minnesota game in Minnesota a couple years back, where the Packers just came up flat, and they ended up winning 13 games in each of those seasons. So the season opener is unpredictable from that point of view. And I think that's what makes me jittery and a little nervous, but also super excited. And I don't think Friday's game will necessarily tell the story of what the 2024 season will be for the Packers. But if they go out there and do what I think they're going to do, which is win the game, you're going to feel really good about the Packers' chances and their standing in a tough NFC. Now, I say tough in terms of top heavy. When you think about the best teams in the NFC, I think there's 5 of them, right? It's the San Francisco 49ers, Detroit Lions, Dallas Cowboys, Philadelphia Eagles, and Green Bay Packers. Like, I think those are the 5 really good teams in the NFC. If the Packers come away from Friday with a win, all of a sudden you feel really confident about their chances in the NFC going forward. But it's not always indicative of what the entire season has to bring. Joshy, am I out of line here for feeling the jitters, feeling a little nervous excitement ahead of the season opener tomorrow in Brazil?
No, I mean, for all NFL fans, aside from the few, the hope springs eternal right now. There is nothing but anticipation and telling yourself your team is going to have a chance to win a Super Bowl. The Athletic did the hope-o-meter, and the majority of teams have a lot of hope. Even the teams you would say, I don't know why you have that hope. From an outsider's perspective, they all have hope. I think we have all the hope in the world as Packers fans watching what we did to finish the season, the meteoric rise of a young team that you hope continues to get better. Mm-hmm. There's so many things you want to learn about. There's so many things you just want to see how it looks in real action that if you were to try and narrow it down to like the 5 most interesting things, I think we would have 5 completely different lists in terms of there is intrigue at every level on both sides of the ball, even to the specialists, of what this is going to look like in 2024 for the Packers.
So you say that, and I'm curious, because I did my 2 big questions on yesterday's show, and if you missed that, I'll just spoil them for you. My 2 big questions are, A, who steps up on defense? Because if you're going to win a Super Bowl, you need somebody to be a playmaker, right? Whether it's Rashawn Gary or Jair or whoever, Quay Walker. My second question is this offense ready to graduate to elite status? Which of those 2 questions intrigues you more, specifically in the season opener, Joshy? Those are more season-long questions, but would you rather see somebody really emerge as a stud defensively in week 1, or would you rather see the offense say, yep, what they did the second half of last season certainly was not a fluke?
I think what would make me the most comfortable would be a defensive emergence of a star. I think even if the offense doesn't look like it's firing on all cylinders, I'm so confident in them that I think at midpoint of the season into the second half, they're going to be one of the most feared offenses in the league. So there's a lot more questions remaining on the defense for me. Like, even you said specifically who's going to emerge, who's going to be the star. There's like 5 different guys you could probably name for that. I want to know, can this team stop the run?
Yeah.
Are the Pittsburgh Steelers or someone like them just going to show up and say, you guys can't stop the run, so here you go. Here's a whole dose of that. A team that has no fear running the ball over and over and over and over again is the Philadelphia Eagles. And they just slightly
upgraded at the running back position this offseason.
They sure did.
Adding Saquon Barkley, yeah.
So I think stopping the run, is that an option? How are those linebackers going to look? Who's going to be stepping up in the secondary? Like, is Rashawn Gary going to emerge? Is that a thing that's going to happen? Is he finally going to get double-digit sacks? I think for the Packers to be as successful as we hope, they need multiple guys to emerge as like full-fledged stars. We might have just bought one in terms of Xavier McKinney.
True.
We don't know what he's going to look like with Jeff Hafley. They obviously brought him specifically in for a reason and gave him all that money. But I think there has to be more than one. Because right now we're confident in Kenny Clark. Hopefully Jair is what we know Jair to be. And then after that, it's a whole bunch of guys are kind of like, well, I could see it maybe.
I think Quay Walker's the top of that list for me. I think the football IQ is there. The athleticism is clearly there, but he just hasn't pieced it all together yet. But it seems like Jeff Hafley has a lot of faith in him, giving him the green dot, which is essentially the defensive play caller. That's the guy, and I said it back when I said it a lot when the Packers fired Joe Barry and were on the search for who eventually became Jeff Hafley. The number one question I would ask in defensive coordinator interviews is, how do you get Quay Walker to that next level? Because you need that guy in the middle. And I'm curious to see if finally this is the year. I say finally like he's been in the league 8 years. But is this the year where Quay Walker really takes that next step and becomes like a Pro Bowl level linebacker? I think it could be. But the thing about the Jeff Hafley defense, Joshy, is it is just such the great unknown right now. He said after one of the preseason games, he literally had 3 plays on his call sheet. They showed nothing in the preseason. It was as vanilla as could be. And I don't know how good of or how big of a taste, I should say, we're going to get in the season opener. You get 4 quarters worth. Obviously, they're playing, as you mentioned, a really high-powered offense who will love to run the ball with the 1-2 punch of Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley. I'm just curious what this thing looks like because we really don't have any clue. It is a ginormous mystery, which fascinates me for a guy who's a first-year coordinator in the league.
I would bet you're going to see some pretty unique looks because there aren't many Jalen Hurts across the NFL. There's like a handful of guys you would even compare in terms of what they can do with their arm and their feet. So I think you're going to kind of get the full complement of looks from Jeff Hafley just because it's going to be forced.
Yeah.
Few people can run the way Jalen Hurts can, and then you have 2 weapons on the outside. You're not going to run into many teams with as good of weapons. There's probably like 4 or 5 teams in terms of guys on the outside that would strike fear in you. So I think you're going to see a pretty healthy dose of also, and I mean, everyone hated the term zone defense. They should get. Jeff Hafley's going to run a lot of zone. That's just the current NFL. It's just the way they do it and the way they run their zones. I think the team's going to be way more aggressive, and I think the Bold-a-thon just happened, and I heard that they were going to. Someone's predicted like double the amount of turnovers.
Yeah,
I think that is something that we can like bank on, because if you watched and listened to training camp, Evan Williams was around the ball every other practice. Mm-hmm. Jair was making plays. Like it's going to be aggressive, and it's going to be a lot of looks that teams aren't familiar with, especially from the Packers.
No, you're right about that. That's Josh DiMaggio, Alex Strouf with you here on Mr. Irrelevant. 2 things I do want to get to. You referenced the Bold-a-thon, which is Wilde and Tausch, weekdays 9 to noon on ESPN Wisconsin. Every year they do a Bold-a-thon, which is they have a bunch of people on, and they get to give a bold prediction for the upcoming Packers season. They usually, I was about to get to that. They usually do it the day before the opener. I was a part of it last year. I was a part of the Bold-a-thon as the host of Green Bay Game Day. It was a nice way to promote, the season opener, our first pregame show of the year. Here's the guy that's going to be hosting all 17 of them. Didn't get a text message this year. I imagine you didn't get one either.
No, I was part of the inaugural.
Inaugural?
There
you go.
Bold-a-thon. I did not get a call.
So you didn't get a call last year either?
No.
So that's 2 years in a row you've been disrespected.
I did get a text message to put Chewy on to see when he could join.
But not for you.
No.
So you were actually guest booking for other people.
Yes, I didn't even get a pity invite. I'm sitting right here every day. You could just have me pipe my mic on at like the end of a segment.
Well, we're going to steal their idea at some point today on Mr. Irrelevant. We are going to give our biggest bold prediction for the 2024 season. But before we do that, I would also like to talk about the national coverage the Packers have been getting, especially this week. Another renowned media member picked the Packers to be in the Super Bowl. I think that's a good thing. We'll get to that in just a moment. But first, got to tell you about my friends at Door County Distillery. Locally produced, handcrafted, and award-winning spirits made locally in beautiful Door County. It's football season. For me, that means it's whiskey season. Whether it's the 27-time gold medal award-winning single malt whiskey, whether it is the rye whiskey, or if it's my personal favorite, the Door County Distillery bourbon, it is delicious. Just a couple ice cubes. Kick back, enjoy the opener tonight. That's what I'm going to be doing. Or if you're not a whiskey person, maybe you're a vodka person, maybe you're a brandy person, maybe it's the gin. They've got all of them. They're all delicious, they're affordable, and they're made local. So support local business and support Door County Distillery, available at your favorite liquor store statewide or online, doorcountydistillery.com, as well, for a huge list of unique cocktail recipes. We pause for 60 seconds. When we come back, I tell you why pressure is a privilege, and we give our bold takes because we weren't invited to the Bold-a-thon, the Bold-a-thon outcast. That's all in 60 seconds. It's Mr. Irrelevant. I'm Alex Strouf. Where in the world is Door County Distillery today? It brings me to Sugar River Pizza, the legendary in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin. Let's go to the bar. Let's see what they've got. We're here in the beautiful bar at Sugar River Pizza in Sun Prairie. My guy Kyle just mixed me up a cherry brandy old-fashioned with the cherry brandy from Door County Distillery. It's delicious. I tell you it all the time. It's proving it right here. the best.
I'll tell you what, Kyle can make a cocktail.
All right, power ranking. Top 3 drinks to have from Door County Distillery. We're going 3-1. Number 3, it's a split decision, but they're both on the rocks. Either the 27-time gold medal award-winning single malt whiskey or my personal favorite, the bourbon. Right on the rocks. Nice Sunday night, end the weekend. I love it. That's number 3. Number 2, the Cherry Cosmo with that green bottle of gin. That thing tastes like summer. It's unbelievable. It's delicious. You got to try it. Check out the recipe. DoorCountyDistillery.com. Number 1, it's in my left hand right now with the cherry brandy made with local Door County cherries. The cherry brandy old fashioned. That's my list, but there's no wrong answers. You got to find out for yourself. DoorCountyDistillery.com. Let me know what you think in the comments below. DoorCountyDistillery.com is the website. I want to discuss something I saw this morning because I struggle with this. The Packers are back to the level of being at the top of the mountaintop from a national perspective. One pundit says Jordan Love's going to win the MVP. The next pundit says the Green Bay Packers are the team to beat in the NFC. The next pundit says, yeah, if there's a Super Bowl team I'd put my money on, it's the Green Bay Packers. And then today, a man who is just about right every year. It's insane levels what Peter Schrager of Good Morning Football and the NFL Network does. Every year, the day the season starts, he predicts that the Green Bay Packers will represent the NFC in the Super Bowl this year. And the thing is with Schrager's Super Bowl predictions is he's right like every year. He got Niners Chiefs last year. He got Eagles and Chiefs the year before. He got the Bengals and Rams Super Bowl correct. Like he gets these things correct. It's insane to me. And every once in a while he'll get one wrong, but he'll get the winner right. This year he predicts that the Chiefs will complete the three-peat by beating the Green Bay Packers in the Super Bowl. And obviously that hurts your heart because you don't want to get to the Super Bowl and lose, but somebody's got to do it. But it's just another respected pundit saying, hey, this Packers team is the real deal. They can make the Super Bowl. They can go for the Lombardi. They will win the NFC in 2024. And while some can make the argument that, hey, maybe the Packers actually haven't arrived yet. Right? They had a little bit of a coming out party in 2023, but they haven't officially arrived. They're not really that team yet. And you'd be making a fair argument. But what the national attention the Packers have received the last few weeks and few months, really all offseason, tells you is that pressure is a privilege. That wasn't a rebuild, what the Packers went through. For other teams, it would have been. But for the Green Bay Packers, nothing they did last year in their transition to the Brian Gutekunst dubbed youth movement was a rebuild. Everything about that was a reload or a re-up or a recombobulation. Nothing about that was a rebuild. When they were 2-5, you could certainly make that case. But when they finished the season 9-8, and they go on the road to the 2 seed in the NFC, and they win, not only win, but win the way they did against the Dallas Cowboys. And then to play in Santa Clara against the 49ers in the divisional round. And once again, I say, play the way they did. This is a team that proved it's probably got the chops to win. And people are taking that seriously. And I think they should. Jordan Love was paid like one of the best quarterbacks in football. And I certainly believe he's capable of playing like that consistently. So what Peter Schrager and Mike Tannenbaum and all these national pundits saying, hey, the Packers are good enough to make the Super Bowl, I tend to believe them. And I tend to agree with them. And that's not just because I'm a Packers fan. We all saw it last year. This team is good enough to play for a Super Bowl. And this attention is a good thing. Because last year when he didn't have it, it was different. I'm 25. This has been a Super Bowl contender my entire life. And I understand how spoiled I am. I understand how lucky I am to live in the golden era of Packers football, minus only 2 Super Bowls. This is what it should be. And the Packers have earned the attention they're getting. Pressure is a privilege. And even if you want to make the argument the Packers haven't arrived yet, they've certainly earned the pressure that they are receiving as Super Bowl contenders, as they are viewed. Cheesehead Bucky on the ESPN Milwaukee YouTube chat just says, yo, it is one day before Christmas in football terms. The Packers play football tomorrow. It's Christmas Eve. Could kick off tonight.
Can I ask a potentially stupid question?
Only if you put yourself on camera. Go ahead.
Why aren't you saying Christmas Eve?
What do you mean?
You're saying it's the day before Christmas.
Because that's the story. That's the story. You know the story? It was the night before Christmas and all through the house. Nobody was heard, not even a mouse. Yeah.
Huh, I missed it.
I said, what do you mean? I said that at the top of the show. Twas the night before Christmas.
I thought you just mixed your words together.
Well, it is Christmas Eve, but Santa comes tomorrow. Santa might come tonight for some kids.
My house, Santa comes tonight.
Yeah, same here, actually. But, I had divorced parents, so Santa came both days.
Double stop.
Yeah, double stop. Just different households. Yeah. Santa came twice for me. One of the few perks of divorced parents right there, man. But, so it is technically Christmas Eve. And Santa is coming tonight for Chiefs and Ravens fans. But for Packers fans and Eagles fans, Santa comes on Christmas Day tomorrow.
Can I give a quick little take about tonight?
Yeah, absolutely.
Xavier Worthy, higher. Touchdowns, bet it.
It is 0.5, and I did put it. I really debated doing the scorcher of first quarter touchdown for Xavier Worthy, but I did the overall higher than 0.5.
I like the first quarter one a lot because I think he's getting a deep pass early.
Yeah, I also did the higher on longest reception, 21.5 yards for Xavier Worthy. I'm all in on Xavier Worthy, the rookie wide receiver out of Texas who broke the, what was it, the 40 time?
record.
And what did he run? Do you remember? It was like a 4.2, right?
It was a 4.21.
That's insane.
I believe, or 4.29. It was whatever it was, broke Chris Johnson's. And if you saw my tweet from earlier this week, I'm heavily invested on underdog best ball in Xavier Worthy.
Yeah. So how many underdog best ball drafts did you enter?
I would have to pull up the exact number, but it's over 200.
Goodness. I love it.
You can't win if you ain't playing, Buster.
Yeah, true that. And I'm playing. The NFL season finally here, and our new partner, Underdog Fantasy, is ready to make it a lot more exciting. Join the millions and millions of fans, including Joshy, who has millions and millions of teams on Underdog, and do their pick'em game. I'm doing the picker game tonight, and I've got a free pick in there, a gimme pick for Travis Kelce, over 0.5 total yards. It's a free pick. Travis Kelce gets a yard, you win. Gimme pick. My other picks tonight on the Underdog app. I am lower for Lamar Jackson passing yards, 219.5. I am higher on Isaiah Pacheco, 0.5 rushing TDs. And in this one that I am reading, Xavier Worthy higher than 3.5 receptions. I'm all in on the Chiefs tonight, who dropped the opener last year to the Detroit Lions. I think they get it done tonight. Use the promo code GOODKARMA at signup. That's all one word, GOODKARMA. Good Karma at signup to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash and a free pick. You've got a free pick tonight. A gimme pick, as they call it on Underdog. Travis Kelce, half a yard, total yardage on the Underdog app. Underdog, promo code GOODKARMA, up to $1,000 in bonus cash and a free pick. Good Karma, GOODKARMA on Underdog.
Also, just to add to that, higher on 1.5 passing TDs for Patrick Mahomes.
That seems like a gimme too.
Damn near.
But what did they score in the opener? I think it was only 20 points in the opener last year against the Lions.
I know it wasn't impressive.
It was rather underwhelming last year.
I just think that the new Chiefs offense is going to be ones we remember the Chiefs running.
The new Chiefs offense.
Yes.
So you view this as a new era with Xavier Worthy.
And Rashee Rice getting better.
Rashee Rice and Hollywood Brown's there.
Will not be playing tonight, but I think they quickly realized we need to stretch the damn field because we have Patrick Mahomes. So
yeah,
none of this crap with MVS. He running wind sprints and not catching the ball. We need the guys who are going to run wind sprints and then catch it.
A guy that has won 2 Super Bowls, might I add. MVS. Where is he? Where is Marquez Valdez-Scantling these days?
I believe he was a threat to be cut in Buffalo, but I believe he did make the team.
I didn't know he was a Buffalo guy.
Yes.
Interesting. I guess I didn't realize Marquez Valdez-Scantling ended up somewhere, so I will look into that. But it is time for our Bold-a-thon, Joshy.
Mm-hmm.
We were not invited, and he is still on the Bills, by the way. We were not invited to the Wilde and Tausch Bold-a-thon. But I feel like few people have takes like you and I do. I think it's a little disrespectful we weren't invited, but we'll participate on our playground, bro. It don't bother me.
They didn't want us to steal the bold thunder.
Yeah, you're right.
Be a bunch of weak takes in comparison.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. I've said on the record already, I believe Jordan Love will win the MVP, so I've got to one-up that.
That's tough.
Yeah, I'm aware. So I'm going to give you the floor while I hash out exactly what mine is.
Mine is going to inevitably lead to a Jordan Love MVP, but I think Jordan Love this season will at very least match Aaron Rodgers' single-season touchdown passing record of 48.
Holy smokes.
I think there has been a reinvention in the NFL in terms of the scoring was down last year. They don't want that crap.
Wow.
They don't want that crap to happen. So you're going to see teams air it out. The officiating is going to be conducive to that. The field position changes with kickoffs is going to be conducive to more points. And I have concerns about Josh Jacobs' ability to stay healthy. Therefore, leading to a full-fledged, air it out, Jordan Love, Matt LaFleur, all those young wide receivers, air assault.
So let's say in this scenario, and I love this. This is super bold. This is good by you. This is good by you. 48 touchdowns.
Yes.
From a receiving standpoint, who leads the team?
I think to reach that path, it has to be Christian Watson.
Oh, so you think it's a healthy year for Christian Watson?
I do. There are some pieces that need to fall into line here for it to work, and I think
I like this.
There is no chance you get there without the vertical and speed threat of Christian Watson.
That's good, Joshy. That's good. Cheesehead Bucky, his bold pick, which also would fit into yours, is Romeo Doubs will lead the NFL in receiving touchdowns. If it ends up being,
I think that's a fair one.
Oh, art thou Romeo?
I think there is a significant chance that Romeo neither leads in catches or yards, but Jordan Love trusts him so much. Kind of the James Jones thing that he's been compared to many times, where he knows where he's going to be, and he knows he's going to more often than not come down with the ball. So I think that's a perfectly good bold take.
Well said by Joshy. All right, mine is in the same breath. I think you and I are overly excited and maybe overly confident for this Packers team this year. I believe the Packers will lead the league in all pro selections, and I believe they will have at least two on each side of the ball, offense and defense, 2 first-team all-pro selections, 4 total for the Green Bay Packers.
You don't need to nail the 4, but I need at least like a top 6 list of guys you would think have the chance.
I will give you 2 bona fides.
Jordan
Love is 1.
Yep.
Jordan Love will be the first-team all-pro quarterback. Sorry, Patrick Mahomes. Defensively, Rashawn Gary will be a first-team all-selection. Those would be the 2 I'm very confident in. Now, the other names I would throw out there are Jair Alexander, Xavier McKinney on defense. Those would be the 2 names I'd throw out there. And then offensively, 2 more names I would throw out there are Josh Jacobs, which I know you're not feeling the same as me, but I think Josh Jacobs could have a really big year. And then just one of the receivers. I don't know which one.
Right, someone. I believe
Romeo,
there are 3
Christian.
of them now on the first team.
There is.
So it gives you a little wiggle room there.
Yeah. Well, Justin, tell me who doesn't belong. Justin Jefferson, C.D. Lamb, Romeo Doubs. Who doesn't belong?
Yeah, correct.
But that's the cool part about this Packers team and the way they operate in. So let's talk tonight before we get to what we learned and wrap up the show. This is a really fun way to kick off the season. Kansas City and Baltimore, a rematch of the AFC Championship game from last year. You have the reigning Super Bowl champs in the Chiefs. You have the reigning league MVP in Lamar Jackson. The idea that these 2 teams, once again, after what was a very disappointing loss for Baltimore in the first ever AFC Championship game in Baltimore, they're looking for revenge. This is a team led by John Harbaugh who, since they won the Super Bowl with Joe Flacco, has had several opportunities and just has been unable to get back. And last year seemed like their best opportunity. They lose Patrick Queen in the offseason. They add Derrick Henry offensively, which will be a nice bolster to their pretty much double running back room. No disrespect to Lamar. But, I mean, when you have Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson operating out of the same backfield, that's going to provide some issues for opposing defenses. I think this is probably the best game you could have come up with for opening night. Like, I was trying to go through, other than Niners-Chiefs, which would have been a Super Bowl rematch, I can't think of a better opening night matchup than Baltimore at Kansas City to open the season tonight. It's super exciting, right? I mean, you get the two biggest stars in football, debatably, from a year ago in Mahomes. Obviously, Travis Kelce was probably the biggest star in football last year for reasons not necessarily related to on-the-field production. And then Lamar Jackson, the reigning league MVP, winning his second MVP a year ago. I'm hard-pressed to find a better way to open the season than the way the NFL is tonight.
In terms of, I think it's the right pick. The only other game that I think could rival in terms of excitement and fireworks would be the Dolphins and the Chiefs.
Yeah, but that game was underwhelming in Germany last year.
It was. There are factors, Germany being a major
major one of them, yes.
But, I mean, the NFL wants good offense. That's why they picked these two teams. They want exciting players. That's why they picked these two teams. And I think the only one that truly can rival it would be the Dolphins.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. That's a good poll. I got to give credit because I feel like they don't get a lot of it. Mike North and the team at the NFL who does the scheduling, like opening week, there's some pretty damn good games on the slate. And we'll dive a little bit deeper into them tomorrow. But when you look at tonight, when you look at Packers-Eagles, that's sexy. When you think about the Monday night game, it's actually really exciting. San Francisco and the Jets. That's an exciting little game on Monday night as Aaron Rodgers makes his return to Monday Night Football after we all know what happened a year ago. There's some really interesting games on the schedule. I'm going to throw one at you, and you're going to be like, no, I don't get it. Cardinals-Bills intrigues the hell out of me for week one.
Yeah. I mean, that's me counting my best ball bags and the guys I made investment on, but Kyler Murray is old Kyler Murray. That is fun, high-flying offense.
You had Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Yeah.
I think the Cardinals are going to be sneaky good this year. So I'm intrigued by that game. I'm intrigued by Cowboys-Browns, which is America's game of the week, right? You take the best defenses from last year and put them against each other in a primetime slate. Cowboys-Saints. We have the Sunday night game, which is the Stafford return game again, which we saw in the wild card round last year. Rams and Lions. Like, the schedule makers did well this week.
I think that game will be real fun.
Do you?
I think the Rams are going to be real good this year.
I do too. The West intrigues me because I just mentioned I think Cardinals could be sneaky good. The Niners are obviously the team to beat in the entire conference. The Seahawks probably won't suck.
No, I don't think so.
And I'm with you. I think the Rams have the potential, assuming Stafford stays healthy, the Rams have the potential to be one of the better teams in the NFC.
I know the Bears and Packers have been popular wild card picks, both coming out of the North. I would not be surprised if the two wild card teams come out of the West.
Yeah.
That would not.
The NFC is actually kind of tricky to figure out.
Yeah,
because you got your 4 division winners. So whoever wins the dog pile that is the South wins, right? Falcons or Saints, I would guess. Probably maybe the Buccaneers. The East might only get one team.
I would bet on it.
And we think that too. The Eagles?
Yes.
And McCarthy loses his job?
I think there's a good chance that happens.
So you go Eagles, and then let's just say the Falcons. I like Kirk Cousins. I think they can win that division. And then you've got the West and the North to figure out the remaining 5 spots, which is 2 division winners. So let's say Lions and Niners.
Yeah.
And then you got to figure out the other 3.
Yep.
Which is Packers.
I would pick right now the Cardinals and the Rams.
I like it.
I think those are just 2 good teams, and as much as everyone talks about defense, the offense is the way the league runs. There's a reason Patrick Mahomes keeps ending up in them.
Yeah, that's true. It's true.
Not that he doesn't have help on defense with Spagnuolo and all those guys, but a big Big factor is old Patty.
Old Patty. Old Patty. Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, we'll see. I'm really intrigued by the NFC because we when we compare the conferences, you go the AFC is much stronger. You look at the quarterback star power, right? You've got Herbert, you've got Mahomes, you've got Burrow, you've got Allen, you've got Rodgers. I'm probably missing some big names. Lawrence, right? I mean, you've got all these names in terms of quarterbacks in the AFC, and everybody's like, yeah, well, the NFC is kind of weak. The NFC is really not that weak.
No. I think the season's going to shake out itself, and the star power might not be there because Stafford's star has lost a little power, so has Kyler Murray's. I just think we're going to, if the Bears are as good as you think they have the potential to be, adding Caleb Williams to all of that mix there, I think the majority of the good teams in the NFL, save for probably 2 or 3 in the AFC, are going to be. Like, power ranking season, it's going to be like 7-3 NFC, 6-4 NFC in their favor.
Yeah. Interesting. 6-4 NFC in their favor. Yeah. I can get down with that. You and I are very agreeable today. It's because it's the night before Christmas, man.
Twas the night before Christmas.
Twas indeed. Real quick before we get to what we learned, Matt LaFleur and his tone change when it comes to international play. A couple of years ago when the Packers played in London against the New York Giants, which was a loss. Rodgers broke his thumb. It was kind of no good. Matt LaFleur had a crap attitude about playing in London mid-season.
Poopy pants
LaFleur that day, for sure. And this morning he says this is from Zach Cruz, quote, "We're really excited to be down here in Brazil. Your country has been great to us. The people have been fantastic. We're looking forward to making history tomorrow and really looking forward to playing the Eagles to start the 2024 season." End quote. That's the Packers head coach, Matt LaFleur. That's not how he was sounding 2 years ago.
No. He, at every given opportunity, he said how much of a hassle it was, how much they didn't want to do it, how much of a disadvantage it was because of sleep schedules, timing of game, et cetera, et cetera. The Eagles have seemed to stepped into the trap that the Packers did 2 years ago.
Yeah.
They have had a lot to say about the safety concerns, what they were going to be doing or not doing in Brazil. And the Packers have kept their mouth closed almost to a man to this point and let Matt LaFleur handle the messaging. And I know it's like coach speak type of stuff, but if you don't think the way that was talked about from Matt LaFleur, because all those players hear what the coach says, every single one of them, that affected the outcome and the way the Packers looked in that game 2 years ago against the Giants.
Yeah. Oh, you're totally right. It did. And I think ultimately that's what led to a loss.
They played like guys who didn't want to be there.
Correct.
Yes.
And I think LaFleur realized that and realized his mistake. Because I don't think he's still super happy, right?
No.
Like when you listen to him earlier this week before they left for Brazil, and Jason and I talked about this on Weekly Wildy, which you can find in the Irrelevant podcast feed and the ESPN Milwaukee YouTube channel. Episode 2, we preview tomorrow's game against the Eagles. But I asked him because Wildy had a back and forth with LaFleur earlier in the week where Wildy asked him, pretty much frankly, hey, we understand you're going to be on the plane all day Wednesday. What are you doing Thursday? And he just responded, I have a plan. I feel confident about that plan. That's all he said. And like now they're holding like an open practice for fans to view and all that. But
yeah, I think the way Matt LaFleur is approaching it is he doesn't actually like all this because head coaches like control. They like to keep things as normal as possible.
Yep.
And everything's been thrown into the air. Everything's different. So just from a logistics standpoint, this type of stuff is a headache. But if you don't go into it dreading it, you're making it better for your team. And it seems like everybody on the Philadelphia side is kind of dreading it, fearful, worried about it. And the Packers have been, I believe Josh Jacobs might have let something slip early when this first game got
Well, it was
announced.
about the color green.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you notice, you haven't heard a single Packers player say anything about the Brazil trip. Not a single one. Maybe they've been asked something and they've given like canned, I'm excited about it answers. But all the players making headlines are all Philadelphia.
Yeah, Darius Slay on his podcast talks
Brown.
about how they can't leave the hotel. And so maybe the Eagles will be the team that doesn't want to be there this time around.
I would like very much like that.
Revenge is a dish best served cold.
You got it. You had to look up into the sky.
I did.
For
I
it.
had to think. I had to roll my eyes to the back of my head, file through the different parts of my brain, but I got there. Revenge is a dish best served cold. Yeah, nice. All right, time now for what we learned. You learn something new every day. Joshy, did you come prepared?
I did.
Good for you. Go ahead.
This one is just saved in my brain because when I saw it last night, it was from a tweet from
You gonna tell me about corn sweat again?
No, it was a tweet from J.R. Radcliffe. It was on the Bally broadcast of the Brewers game. Baseball Reference lists the Milwaukee Brewers as the most likely team to win the World Series. That number was 12.7, has now dropped to 12.5, but the Brewers are still in first place of that. The way they determine that number...
Yeah, how does that math work?
Yeah, so they take the past 100 games played, and then they run simulations based on, how you're scoring, how your defense is working, all those factors. 10,000 simulations. They take basically the mean outcome. So however many times each team ends up winning the World Series, the Brewers came away at first. Now, the difference between the top 4 teams is like a point. I think the lowest one on there was 11 point something. But it is surreal to be in a spot where, like we talked about, the excitement for the Packers, Peter Schrager picking them to win the Super Bowl. You've got, I saw Mike Florio doing it.
Right.
So many teams picking the Packers to be in. That has changed for the Brewers. They are now the team that everybody's talking about.
Yeah.
They are now the sexy MLB pick.
So I'm intrigued by you bringing this up, and I'm glad you did, because I saw you tweeted this stat as well yesterday. I just did a segment, 20 minutes ago about how pressure is a privilege and it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing for the Green Bay Packers. I don't know that it's a good thing for the Milwaukee Brewers. Because I don't know that even in their great runs, right? Like 2011 is the one that always sticks out to me, or 2018 when they were a game away, or was that 2017 where they were a game away from the World Series losing to the Dodgers? I struggle with them playing as the favorite. As the underdog, it seems like that's when they play their best ball.
And that the underdogs led us to some disappointing.
So maybe they want to be the favorite.
The difference to me right now about the Brewers is overnight they basically went from the underdog to, I don't think enough people recognize it, they are one of the best teams in baseball.
Oh, yeah.
Period, stop, end of story. No questions about it.
They're a top 5 team.
Coming into this week, they had the best run differential in baseball, which is a highly indicative to how good your team has been over the run. Like, the Brewers kind of overnight became this contender we weren't ready for.
Yep.
And everyone talks about steps to success in football. That is a big thing. A lot of teams come in, they're clearly not ready. They're in awe of the moment. They have successful runs, but they can't quite bring it home. I don't think that applies to baseball at all. We see teams winning World Series or in the World Series that, why are the Texas Rangers
last year
and the Arizona
absolutely.
Cardinals
Diamondbacks
competing for, that doesn't make sense.
No, and it didn't last year. And it feels like the Brewers could be that team this year. And I think you and I have been on that bandwagon for months at this point. It was always a matter of, okay, can they get the arms in control? Mm-hmm. And despite all the injuries, and I think they're at 19 different starting pitchers this year. I think they're at 14 different guys that have recorded a save this year. That's an insane way to be a first-place ball team. It's just absurd. I mean, the way that under Pat Murphy, who is going to win the National League Manager of the Year, the way that this team has evolved and just scratched and clawed and found ways to win ball games is remarkable. I mean, they pulled out the Little League World Series trick last week, which is just, the Milwaukee Brewers are really fun this year. I just kind of hate this. It makes me a little uncomfortable because my hopes are so high. You know me as a sports fan, Josh. I'm unbearable. I'm such a roller coaster ride. So to hear this, it gives me the EBGBs a little bit. But I'm ready for a good postseason run here in Milwaukee.
I think it's. I understand where you're coming from, and I've been this way much of the season. The Brewers have always been the team that, you get into the playoffs, who knows what happens. This is a team that fully should be coming with high expectations. And it's not just third best in the NL, it's the third best in all of baseball.
Yeah.
And if you want to look at other factors, you can find some that tell you they are the best. It might not be record, but there are enough things to point to. This is not the plucky underdog, the team that could make some noise, the team who, if they get hot at the right time, this is just a team who, if they get the opportunity and play like we all know they can, there's no reason they shouldn't be competing for a World Series.
So if I use the term Brewers fever, I just scale it 1 to 10. Where are you at with Brewers fever here on September 5th?
Well, if the NFL season started next week, it'd be a 9.5. But I've got a lot of eyes on football right now, so I'm about an 8 to 8.5.
When do you come back to like the 9.5 when the playoffs start? Because they're going to be there.
Yeah, once the playoffs start, it will be the thing I'm most interested in day by day.
Yeah, I mean the Cubs have been playing better ball, but they're not going to come back and win the division.
No,
but they certainly could be a wild card team. And if the Brewers, another loss last night, we could be angling for a wild card matchup with Craig Counsell and the Cubs.
It would invite it.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah,
because you're going to win, and it's just going to irritate the hell out of everybody. It would be a great story about baseball.
Yeah.
All right. What I learned about airplanes, Joshy.
Whoa.
The Packers flying to Brazil, first ever flight we believe from direct flight from Green Bay to Brazil.
Might never be another.
Austin Straub Airport. Unless the Packers play there again, there will never be another.
What happened to the runway? Did they extend that, or was that just not a real issue?
I don't know what you're referring to.
Oh, you don't remember that Mark Murphy's big thing? That the runways were too short in Green Bay, and they were going to have to make other accommodations to be able to, because the plane was bigger.
The plane was bigger, right?
They did not have enough room for takeoff.
I would imagine they figured it out because they got there safely. To be honest with you, Josh, didn't get my aviation degree. I'm not really sure what the rules and regulations are at the Austin Straub Airport in Green Bay.
You know what you should do? Murphy Takes 5. That's got to be coming out. Probably just did come out.
It would have come out on Sunday, yeah.
You should have.
I didn't read it this month.
You should submit.
Did you know I read those every month?
Yeah, of course. I did too, but it's because of
content
radio.
machine.
Yeah,
content machine. No, I think I would genuinely. If I was an engineer, I think I would read those every month.
You should submit a question.
I will. That's a great idea.
What happened to the runway being too short?
I'll email it right now. That's really good. So I learned that Matt LaFleur was one of 8 members that got to sit first class, and they have these beautiful first class seats. I don't know who the other 7 were, though. Like, who do you think he was sitting up there with? I would imagine Halfley, Bisaccia, who's the OC, Stenovich. So that's 4. Who are the other 4? You picking favorites?
I got to imagine Mark's on that flight.
Oh, Mark, maybe Goody.
Yeah.
So that's 6.
Ball.
Russ Ball, 7. Who's the 8th? Like Leroy Butler or somebody random?
Might be. I don't know, like, the inner workings. Like, do they have somebody in the front office who's been there forever, but is it a name we all know?
Right.
But is, like, highly respected, kind of one of those people?
Could be a PR person.
Yeah. Or Jordan Love.
Oh. Actually, I'm going to go with Jordan Love. Imagine them just all chumming it up together.
I feel like we saw pictures of them on this flight. Like, so there were some of the players put out on
did,
Instagram.
Yes. Yeah.
I felt like Jordan was kind of in the mix, was with the rest of them.
He was.
Yeah.
He was. He wasn't up with
But
LaFleur,
and also the
class.
players, like, first class isn't what you think of it as for the flights we get on.
No, it's
the
like
players had like pods.
They had the individual pods, which was crazy. And that's what I was getting at. I didn't know they made planes that look like that. Like, I knew private jets look like that, but they're carrying like 100 people on this flight.
Oh yeah.
And they've got these private pods, and you can kick back, you can recline, you can watch a movie.
Did you know planes have multiple levels?
Some do, yes, because I do know the story of when the Badgers football team, led by Barry Alvarez, flew to Japan to play Michigan State. They took a 2-layered plane because Michigan State was on the top and they were all sleeping, and Alvarez and the Badgers were on the bottom, and Alvy kept them all awake. It's a great story he's told many times. Because of the time difference, and Michigan State didn't acclimate to the time difference, and then Badgers ended up winning big in Japan.
Yes, that is. I've never taken an international flight quite like that. I just went to Mexico, but those planes aren't really making many flights domestically. Like, you might get some from New York to LA, I guess. There could be that, just because those are 2 major hubs, and you're fitting a ton of people onto a plane. But those are generally reserved for, like, long international flights because, well, it's tough being on a plane for 10 plus hours.
That's a good point. That's a long flight, too. It's a long flight.
That's your whole day.
I'm not jealous of that. Yeah, I'm not jealous of that. All right, Joshy, you're not with me tomorrow because we are pre-recording while you're tied up with Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. So I need 2 predictions from you. One for tonight's game between Kansas City and Baltimore, And then finally, one for Friday, Green Bay and Philadelphia. I will give mine tomorrow. But curious where your head's at. You're pulling up the spreads right now, aren't you?
I'm not actually pulling up spreads. I'm pulling up game totals because if you look at the total amount points scored, that generally gives you an idea of where your prediction should be. If you remember a few years ago here,
he's in the prediction biz.
A few years ago, we used to have a game that we would play for every Packers game where you would predict the score and the closest to or getting it right would get a prize. I won that 4 weeks in a row, and all I did was make the score prediction either which way of the total, a couple points under, a couple point over. Is generally the way to go.
Okay, so what are you doing for Kansas City, Baltimore?
I'm going to go 27-20. Chiefs win that game.
That's a game I'd like to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just described a game I want to watch, which I will be watching every moment of tonight. How about the other one? Packers, Eagles.
That total is 49.5, which kind of surprises me. I guess those
it's
are
a little
two
high,
defenses.
right?
Yeah, nearly 50 is kind of a lot for current NFL games. But I am going to go 27-23 Green Bay Packers.
27-23, that's a weird score. I like that.
Uh-huh.
Let's go. So they start with a win.
Packers start with a win. I think there's just the offense is going to look much better, and the Eagles have.
When you say much better, you mean more consistent?
Yeah, and I'm saying much better from what the training camp reports were, of how they were getting constantly dominated by the defense. And I think the fact that no one knows what to expect from Jeff Hafley.
That part's interesting.
Is going to be an early season advantage for the Packers.
Yeah.
They might not end up finishing as a top 5-10 defense, but when you don't know what to expect, that is a massive tactical advantage for the Green Bay Packers.
Zero doubt about that. Before we let you go, just want to remind you what we've got cooking tomorrow. So Mr. Irrelevant will be live, ESPN Madison YouTube page, ESPN Madison Facebook page, 8 a.m. We're doing an early one tomorrow on ESPN Madison. We'll replay on ESPN Milwaukee at 12:30 tomorrow. Tomorrow afternoon, beginning at 4 o'clock, I'm with you. Green Bay Game Day. It is only on 94.5 ESPN Milwaukee on the radio side. It will be available ESPN Madison and ESPN Milwaukee on YouTube beginning at 4 o'clock due to other conflicts. Brewers play. Wisconsin volleyball plays. We've got high school football going on tomorrow. So the only place you can hear it on the radio is 94.5 ESPN Milwaukee, but you can catch it digitally on ESPN Madison and ESPN Milwaukee on YouTube. I can't tell you the cast of characters I'll be joined by yet. That will be announced tomorrow morning. But I'll just say this. We might have a few rings on our panel. Might have a few rings. And you're not going to want to miss it. Great insight coming from Green Bay Game Day beginning at 4 o'clock tomorrow, leading you all the way up till kickoff at 7:15 for week 1. Packers, Eagles. So Mr. Irrelevant tomorrow, Green Bay Game Day, and Green Bay Game Night with Homer and Tausch makes its return tomorrow night after the game as well. Enjoy Christmas Eve. We'll talk to you on Christmas Day. It's Mr. Irrelevant. I'm Alex Strouf. Peace.